Okay, we had trouble with the Facebook Live last time. I'll see if I can get that going this time. Oh, it looks like it's getting going today. This is great. Okay, great. It's not letting me click go live. I don't know what's going on. There we go. Thanks so much for joining us. This is a MeWe Awakening panel. MeWe Fairs, we're at MEWEFAIRS.com. We host events throughout the Northwest and online. When we're out in person, we're in Seattle, Portland, Salem, and Eugene. We run large fairs and lots of different events. Tonight is one of our panels. We have been having probably about 5 to 8 events a month lately. In this panel, we have 5 practitioners that are here to answer your questions. Our focus tonight is spirituality, intuition, and business. We all have different intuitive practices, modalities, and we all have experience in business, and we're here to answer your questions. You'll get to hear a little bit about all of us, who we are, how we practice. You'll get to hear a bit about our expertise and our applications in business, and then we'll open the floor to questions. It's free to be here to listen and learn, and it's only $15 to get an answer. To ask a question and to get probably 5 answers. So answers from each of us. So when you ask a question, you get to hear all these different perspectives to help you play and open up some options and see what might be a great path for you to take with whatever is before you. All right, you can join us here in Zoom at Join MeWe Online. That's JoinMeWeOnline.com. You can only ask a question if you're here in the event. I'm going to be posting some information in the chat in a moment so that if you want to purchase a question and get in line, you can do that. I think we don't have anyone in line yet, so you can get right to the front. But we have so many different events. We also have a fair coming up on Saturday. We usually have about 15 practitioners that are available, offering free talks, sharing information about themselves, and we also do a mini version of this there. And so that'll be happening Saturday afternoon, and we'll be here tonight in this event for the next 2.5 hours. So lots of great information that we'll be sharing with you. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and get some things posted in the chat, and then we will go ahead and start introducing ourselves. Oh, also, if you're here tonight, there's going to be a link that I'm putting in the chat, which will allow you to give us feedback on the event. If you give us feedback and allow us to put you on our email lists, you'll be entered into a drawing for a free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice. Oh, all these great reasons to be here. You not only learn from just hearing about who we are and how we practice, you get to hear all the answers to the questions, learn from the questions and the answers, and if you want, you can ask a question yourself as well. We have events on all kinds of themes. This is the first time we've done it on business, I think. And the inspiration for that was from one of our practitioners that just joined our community, and one of her specialties is business. So I was like, oh yeah, let's do this too. Well, how about if we each go around, practitioners, and take 4 minutes or so and share about who you are and what you do. Don't share as much about business right now. We'll come back and do another round, and you'll have a chance to share about how you apply your work to business, examples of types of work you've done with people, etc. All right, who wants to share first? I'm open to who wants to go. Oh, and you can see who all the practitioners are. We all have our names beginning with a P in the front. I should say, if you're new to Zoom, on the bottom left, you can mute on and off. There's a stop start video button. Up at the top, you can toggle between speaker view and gallery view so you can see all of us or just the main focus on the main speaker. At the bottom, you can click on the chat and you can see the chat in the bottom. So you can write if you want to ask a question. You can simply write in the chat and say that you have a question. We'll get you on the list. There's information there about how to pay. I have a link for PayPal, and if you need to pay another way, you can pay another way. If you go to the Facebook event, there's an Eventbrite link. You can pay there, or if you need to pay Venmo or anything like that, just message me. I say what else? Yeah, I think those are some of the basics to get you started. All right, who wants to share first? Take about 4 minutes or so and then share about you and your work. Or maybe here, I'll just say who all of us are here. Let me just say a little teeny bit about that. Right, I'll say, so we have Phoenix Rising Star, and some of her specialties are personal business coaching, soul alignment, and then Kendara Laurel, belief shifting, tarot, I Ching, and intuitive readings. Jenna Lynn Roberts, empathic tarot readings. Mary Gleason, executive intuition coaching, energy and tarot readings, and mediumship. And then I'm Lorelei Shamayo. I do all sorts of leadership, entrepreneurship coaching, life purpose, career path coaching, hiring work called business matchmaking. I do intuitive eye readings and apply it really to anything. So all kinds of things I can talk about. Who wants to do a deeper dive in sharing who you are?
I'll go first.
All right, great.
So I am Mary Gleason, and I have worked in nonprofit management and consulting for over 30 years. And about 15 years ago, I took up really learning more and more about my own intuition. And for about the past dozen years or so, I've been practicing professional psychic medium. And the medium means that I can also talk to people who cross over, which when I figured that out explained a lot. And I am also a hypnotherapist, and I especially enjoy past life regressions. And for a long time, I tried to keep those two parts of me separate, and it's not possible. We're the same person, and the more I embrace that in every setting, the more successful I become. And so I love doing that with other people, saying, don't stuff that genie back in the bottle. Life is so much better when you let it out and you just show up as yourself, and you attract all the right people. And that works true for me in business and in every other area of my life.
That's great. Thank you so much, Mary.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Someone else want to jump in and share? Go ahead, Jenna.
Hi, I'm Jenna Lynn Roberts, and I am a tarot reader. I also am an entrepreneur. I run an Airbnb business. I started my own import company temporarily. I've closed that. But along the way, I've done lots of various types of businesses, including educational support for schools, designing curriculum and stuff. So I have a lot of different fields that I've worked in. And I feel like that informs me when I'm working with someone on a business reading, helping them design how they're going forward in their business, intertwining, as Mary said, those two parts of you, the business part of you, the practical side, and the mystical side, who can see that intuition is such a powerful part of our best decisions. So my readings are empathic. I'm very much in the emotional field, but I also am able to take you through a logical path as to what your best steps are moving forward. I was just listening to a great TED talk about how our emotional state determines our ability to become accomplished in life, our confidence. And so I think a reading is a great way to access your emotional blockages that help you move forward into your best possible confident state. So yeah, I love reading cards, and I find it very useful for anyone who's interested in accessing it for business purposes.
Great, great. Thank you so much. All right. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll jump in.
All right.
I feel like I've got kindred souls here. It's so nice to hear from both of you, and it's such a similar path. So I was a public school teacher for 20 years. I knew when I needed to quit that and start working on my own. And I dived deep into working with angels and spirit helpers and teaching others how to do that. So I've been doing that for over 20 years. And in the last 5 years, I've developed, it was given to me from the angels, a practice. It's called the Healing Angel Protocol, and it's a consciousness therapy that helps us to grow and expand into who we are and why we're here. Through that, I have discovered that everything that we learn in that class can be applied to our business because we are our business. And so from that, I'm using the 3 steps that I use for everything, which is trusting your guidance and then healing what comes up and activating your soul's purpose to the next level. And those 3 steps have served me in absolutely everything that I do. And I love to teach those to people and help you wherever you are in your business, wherever you are in your spirituality, wherever you are in your intuition, just to move farther beyond where you are, because we're fluid. We need to continue to grow. And if we don't do that, we become stuck and stagnant, and that's not a good place to be. So let's get fluid. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you so much. And Phoenix is our new practitioner around this whole event was designed. So thank you so much, Phoenix.
Thank you.
Inspiration. All right. Yeah. Kendara, go ahead.
I was waving to Phoenix, but okay, I'll start. Hi, Phoenix, welcome. My name's Kendara Laurel, and I do several things. What I love to do is belief shifting, where I help you identify beliefs which often sabotage and self-defeat you and help you turn it around into positive, fulfilling manifestation. I love helping people do that. I also like to help people identify their psychic gifts, what their ones, the strongest ones that they have. I love the I Ching, and I just like to rely on my intuition and help other people do that as well. And I'm happy to be here. And that's all I have to say right now.
Thank you so much. You all shared so briefly. There's like more. I know we're going to go through another round. I have one event where we do like 30 seconds and I'm like, you have all this space. And like everyone's being polite. It's amazing. Well, I have a bunch that I'll share. And so after I share too, you all might think of different things. And it's great if you want to jump back in and share a little bit more before we go on to the next topic. So my name's Lorelei Shamayo. My main modality that I share in this work is that I'm an intuitive eye reader. And then I also do body psychology coaching. The intuitive eye readings, I think that I think that everybody has a soul. Eyes are a window to the soul, and our eyes give us so much information about who we are, why we're here, and then how to go about doing everything in a way that's a great fit for us. Looking in someone else's eyes allows us to choose people that are a great fit for whatever it is we're wanting to do together. So that's my main modality, and I apply it to everything. And my personal life and just my history also informs what I share in this work. I started off as a scientist, so I have a very, just a very grounded, detailed sort of approach to everything that I do. And we have Jenna jumping back in another way. Nope, another Jenna. And I worked in the legal world for a while, intellectual property work, so applying all of the science that I knew in a very practical way in business. I worked at a very large organization for a while. And then I worked in an entrepreneurial company. We went from 12 to about 125 when I was there. I helped hire about 50 of those people, and that's when I was learning this intuitive work. And so I got to use that in helping the team grow, helping the leadership team work together. I got to use it in hiring people and choosing people and helping the company see where they'd be a great fit. I have a book that's out and some of the eye readings work that I do. It's particularly an application with business and leadership, so the sweet spot. So our eyes is that they give us a window to our soul to help us know our purpose. Our sweet spot is our purpose. So how do we recognize our purpose? Through our eyes, through the archetypes that I use called Thrive Types. And then how do we apply it to understanding ourselves, leading authentically, choosing choosing other people to play with in business, how to manage people and motivate people based on who they are, how to really honor who they are and have them be in a great place. Oh, I should not share all that stuff right now. Let me see what else to share about my work and my history. But I worked at a leadership coaching firm for a while too, so particularly applying this type of work in leadership there. And then I've been on my own since, oh goodness, well, I've been doing this for over 10 years and been on my own now about the last 6 years or so. So in addition to doing my own work with individuals, with couples, with partners, and with organizations, I do, like, for example, I have a lot of hiring projects that I'm doing right now. I say, I use this to answer all kinds of questions. I mean, I answer questions about the now, like what's practical and useful now. I don't do predictions for the future so much, but it's given me information, like I'm a scientist, right? So give me information and I'll play with the information and help you see the patterns, help you learn how to trust yourself for how to answer all kinds of questions. So this gives you a little bit of a glimpse of what I do. Maybe I'll say just a tiny bit about the archetypes that I read in people's eyes. They are called Thrive types. ThriveTypes.com. There's a lot of information on the web if you want to look at it there. I look at things like your natural talents, how you communicate, what motivates you, how you protect yourself, what your consciousness or growth lessons are, just all kinds of things like that. And I'm sure we'll just talk more about that later tonight. Well, I started to go a little bit into business and applications and things like that, and I'll talk more about that in a bit. But so practitioners, after I shared, is there anything that you all want to jump in and share? And I notice I'll post all of our information in the chat again too. And I say for me, I have my sessions available at about a 50% discount right now if you schedule with me today or in the next couple of days from having been at this event. And I'll post the information on all the practitioners. We all have discounts on our sessions right now. So pay $15 and ask a question of the panel. That is the most cost-effective way to go. You'll get some insight from all 5 of us. And then if you want to go deeper with any of us, it's a great opportunity to take, it's a great opportunity to step in to get big discounts on some of our programs. All right. So let's see, any other practitioners want to jump in and share a little bit more? And I'll do some posting in the chat here.
Yeah.
And let me write, there's someone else in the waiting room. I'll let in a moment. Yeah.
Like you say, Lorelei, so many other things come to the fore. So in my own journey, I spent about 2 years really delving into Myers-Briggs, and I'm not a certified Myers-Briggs practitioner. However, learning about that particular thing in regards to my intuition was game-changing, because I learned that only 25% of us are dominantly intuitive. 75% are much more the 5 senses rather than the 6th. So I share that because everybody has some form of intuition, but I share that because sometimes we feel stupid or we feel the odd person out, especially in a high-tech community where we live. So if you're feeling like, I just know it, but I can't give you data and graphs and charts, it's okay. It's okay to trust that. It also led me to write a book, which I just finished the manuscript for, called Married to My Opposite, The Woo-Woo and the Engineer. And some people tell me I'm writing a spiritual self-help book. Some people tell me I'm writing a marriage counseling book. But, you know, I'm starting to release excerpts from that. And I will say that I'm offering, for my special tonight, I have an executive intuition coaching program that I offer to people normally for $1,257. But if you sign up tonight or within 24 hours and you mention the MeWe Fair, I will offer it for $297. So that's quite a savings, and it's a lot of work around the chakras, and it's about how to bring that into the workplace, and I can say more about that. I'm also happy to offer 20% off of a 1-hour reading. So I don't do less than an hour anymore. It's never enough time. So I'd throw that out there. Thanks.
That's great. Thank you, Mary. Yeah, and if everyone wants to go around and at a minimum just share what you're offering today too. If people want to go deeper than tonight, that's great. Feel free to do that. You can share anything about your history too. I say when I worked at that entrepreneurial company, that's when I started learning all this work, and I didn't even realize I was doing anything intuitive. So it was a number of years I was sharing, and I was sharing Thrive Types assessments. You know, I had no idea that I was opening to my intuition, and I'm now able to sense so many things about people. Yeah, who else wants to share? And I have small bits you can do. It's just 10 minutes with me.
I'll share. So I agree with Mary that we are so much more intuitive than we realize, and it's not always in the way that you think it's going to be. That we have all these senses, and once we understand how to utilize our senses and what is strongest for us, then that is really what activates our intuition to start being a more active part of our lives. So one of the first things I do is teach people how they receive. And everybody's different. And sometimes it's a combination of senses, and sometimes it's just one. But it is about trusting, learning how to trust what comes through and how it comes through. And then from that point, it's easy to meet with your inner advisor, if you will, your marketing manager that's inside you that has all the answers, or some people have a whole variety of names for that being or that aspect of you. But that aspect really knows what's in alignment with your heart and your soul. And that's the only way you want to do business, is something that's in total alignment with your heart and your soul. So that's a huge part of what I do with people, is to help them to create a heart-based business that is in alignment with their heart and their soul. And it's one that they love and that sustains them and also helps them to have a bigger impact in the world. So to help you get started on that, I'm offering a 90-minute free 90-minute call with me, so we can see, are there things that are holding you back from that? Do you have an idea of what your products and services are? Do you know how you're packaging them, how to put them together? Let's jumpstart your success.
That's great. Thank you so much. All right. And yeah, Jenna, sorry about that. Let me repost what yours is. I got something mixed up. There you are. There's
No
Jenna's
problem.
offer. Hmm?
Thank you. So hi, my name is Jenna Roberts again, and I'm offering a special of during Mercury retrograde. If you follow me, you know that every Mercury retrograde I offer a 20% off special to get us through these bonky times, and that ends on July 12th. So that's for any type of reading. I also teach how to read cards because I think it's just something we're all very capable of. It's interesting that she says that 25% of people are really intuitively based, and I think that that's partly a societal thing. I really wonder what shift that would happen if we started to value collectively the power of intuition in a better way, and how I think more people would admit they're using intuition or seek it out as a skill set that we all can learn. And I think that if you are a business owner, I've read the book The Art of Intuition, and in it she interviews multiple CEOs who say, oh yeah, I take my practical decision makers, I get my information from my resourceful different departments, and I put those together. But at the end of the day, all of these CEOs said, at the end of the day, my decision is made intuitively. Granted, intuition is based somewhat in reality of what's logical and what's practical, but it's also based in that gut feeling of, I'm going to act from my gut. And it's interesting that we often elect presidents who speak that they act from their gut. Not always, I question if they often do, but I remember even George W. Bush, who was a very conservative president, said, I act from my gut. And that's the language that's acceptable in our culture to use in business, in a patriarchal field, to say, oh, I think from my gut. Well, that's no different than saying, I feel my intuition. It's just that it's the feminine version versus the masculine, and the more accepted version is the masculine. So I really hope that more people will begin to utilize amazing practitioners like that are here today for their business coaches. I do business coaching as a tarot reader, and I think that we all benefit from using our full access of tools that we have. And we're in an amazing time right now, when you think about it, that we all have through the internet access to really esoteric tools that may not be available in our neighborhood, or we may not know how to find. And now we can just type in a couple words in Google and tap into all sorts of art forms that have been undervalued. And once you get that reading, you know the value of it. And I love giving a first reading to someone, and that kind of shudder that goes through them of like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was, because the movies have misrepresented us. And, and they're like, oh, this is incredibly beneficial, and I feel like I have real information to go forward on here to make the changes I need. Last thing I'd like to say is that as a tarot reader, one thing that people I think misunderstand is they see tarot as a fortune future telling thing, when really it's a navigation tool to tap into what you need to be doing emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, energetically, what you need to be moving forward on your best path, which is why I call my company Present Path Tarot, because it's about what you're doing now to alter your trajectory into the best possible landing zone. So yeah, I hope that you all might consider getting a reading with me for this Mercury retrograde period or after, and looking forward to reading with all of these beautiful people tonight.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Maybe I'll just say a little bit and then I'll turn off of Facebook. So we're going to be here for the next couple of hours. If you tune in here, come to joinmeweonline.com. It's joinmeweonline.com. So it's JOINMEWEONLINE.com, and click the button to join us here in the Zoom room, and you can ask a question of the 5 of us of the panel for $15. All right, we look forward to having you join us, watching us online. We'll be posting the whole video afterwards, but if you come join us now, you have the opportunity to ask a question for $15 and take advantage of our discount offers that are only available for most of us just at the event or in the next couple of days. All right. Well, so go ahead, practitioners, if there's any more that you want to share just about yourselves, your history, and then let's jump into sharing a little bit more deeply about business. I know some of you have started doing that already, and feel free to take a slightly deeper dive. And any of you that want, and I'm saying, any of you want to ask a question of the panel, I'll just put the link in here again. It's just $15. You can pay on PayPal, and if you need to pay another way, just let me know, and you will get in line. Go ahead.
I'll jump in for a minute. My name is Kendara Laurel, and I like to really help people remove blocks, often starting in childhood. I do intuitive counseling, and I also coach people and teach them how to discover their gifts. 9 out of 10 times when I say to somebody, do you know what you want to do? They do, but they don't know how to get there. And what I love to do is just help them find a workable path. And everybody's got one. And I think, like everybody here tonight's been saying, you just trust it. You trust your gut. And you combine the left and the right side of the brain, and it works. And tonight I'm offering sessions for $1 a minute, which is about 30% off from what I usually offer. So that's it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and if anyone wants to share any examples of the types of questions that they've answered or what that process looks like for people, it's great. Might open up some ideas and questions that people have, what they might ask us today. Yeah, any of you want to share any more?
Can we talk about the business?
Yeah, go ahead. Talk about business and applications in business and all that. Yeah.
Okay. So, as a consultant working with nonprofits, I tend to work with the leadership teams and especially the executive director and sometimes the board, but mostly on the executive director and leadership team side. I will hear all the time, I'm too chained to my desk. I can't get out. I got all this stuff I got to do. And hearing that so many times, at one point, a couple of years ago, I finally said, what's on your desk? And we went looking for all the stuff. She lined it all up for me. And I said, okay, pick one. So she randomly picked up a file, and I said, don't tell me what it is, but when did you really know that that was a bad decision? And the common denominator was she spent her days digging out of bad decisions rather than moving the organization forward. And that's when I said to her, put that all down. You knew before. I mean, and if, I'm saying this like it was instant, and it wasn't. It was a lot of time spent with her. But to say, when did you really know you shouldn't have hired that person? And keep backing it up and backing it up. And it's like, yeah, perfect resume, perfect references, kind of always graded on me. And now I spend all my time writing performance improvement plans for him. So okay, let's take the next one. When did you really know you shouldn't have expanded that program? When did you really know you shouldn't have invited that board member? So a lot of those things, spending time digging out and truly not understanding what intuition was or how to call on it or how hers showed up for her is how I developed this program, because while I did it initially with her, I realized the pattern that I was seeing. And so I developed the executive intuition coaching offering. And some people will say intuitive coach, and yes, I'm an intuitive coach. My point is the executive is intuitive as well. So my goal is to help them connect with how their intuition shows up for them, help them understand how to call on it proactively and really give it a chance, how to build it into their timeline for all of their different decisions, and how to value that as every bit as much as they do the data, the resume, the budget sheets, whatever it is. How do you bring that in? And what I tell them is you're leaving half your brain in the car. And the problem is you've got the data side going, the right brain is great, but, or excuse me, the left is great, but the right brain is where the solutions are. It's the creativity, it's the intuition, it's the thing that guides you to that next level. So I'm not saying ignore all the data, I'm saying let's pair it with something that's there for your greatest good and highest purpose. It's the only thing in your life that's 1000% there just for you. And then the next step is to help them understand how to bring that into their leadership style. So I want people to go away feeling stronger about themselves, and to lead from that example, to say to their team, well, what does your gut tell you? How do you feel about that? I can see some hesitation. Let's just take a minute to talk about that. Or I can see you're really excited. Where does that come from? Where are you getting that sense of flow and breathing easy? Let's talk about that if in fact I'm not convinced. And just allowing them to bring that into the culture is huge, and it has a great ripple effect. And there's never or rarely any harm in just waiting an extra couple minutes to check in with your own inner wisdom. And so that's how the premise of my program is that's how it started, and it just keeps getting better and better.
Great, thank you, Mary. All right. Anyone else want to jump in and share? Kendara or Phoenix, if you want to share a little bit more about like examples of applications. And whoops, you're muted.
So I work with coaches, consultants, and healers primarily, as they know they are driven to share their gifts, but they also have a lot of fears that their gifts are not valuable to anybody else, or that what they have to share is not what the world is looking for, and who would listen to them anyway. They're not an authority figure. They haven't written a book. They haven't, done this, that, and the other thing. And I think one of the first things that we all need to confront is that we do have things to share with the world. We didn't come in here with just things for us. And even if it's your story that you're sharing of how you have changed and overcome obstacles, that is going to be helping someone. So this is a perfect example of really honoring, who we are and why we're here, but also why we need to constantly be doing healing work around our business, because it's going to bring up our fears, it's going to bring up our insecurities, it's going to bring up the very things that we just don't feel secure or confident in. But the more we recognize that, and it doesn't matter what type of healing work you do, just that you have a healing modality that works for you, the more you're recognizing when it comes up, then the more you can take that step into healing it so that it's not in your way and you are bringing your light to the world, because this is a time right now when the world needs us desperately. This is not a time to be holding back. This is a time to be sharing what we've got. So I just want to plant that seed for everybody.
Great,
And I'd
thank
like
you.
to jump
Yeah, go
in a
ahead.
little. I think with things changing as much as they are, people are having to reinvent themselves. And they really do have the skills and the abilities and the gifts. We're doing things differently. But I think once we acknowledge the fact that no, maybe what we did before worked for us then, but it's not working now. Once we trust our gut, we will really honestly be shown the way to do it. So it's all about trusting. And I think it's great, instead of a negative, I think it's an opportunity to do it over again. And I've spoken to several people lately who said, well, I left my job, or I don't like what I'm doing. And I don't know what I'm going to do next, but it's going to be okay. So this is an exciting time for everybody. That's it.
It's great. Thank you. All right. I'll share a little bit more too. And we have our first question in line. Very exciting. Oh, let's see. So of all the different archetypes that I read in people's eyes, one of the most important ones are the talents. There are 7 talents, and I describe each person as having 3. These are most correlated with our purpose. So it doesn't say like exactly what we're here to do, but of like all these options, it very clearly points in a set of directions. What are the elements that these kinds of activities have that line up, that align with what we naturally value and contribute? What are the kinds of things that we'll find fulfilling? What are the things like why we're here? So that's one thing that I'm often doing with people. I use that also in hiring, kind of like business matchmaking. So when a business has a culture, they have a group of people and they want to hire someone. They usually have a particular role they want to hire them into. So there are usually certain talents that would be great in that role. So finding someone that has the types of talents that might really thrive in that role. And then also, do they have talents and other traits that just naturally correlate and build the culture, that are naturally a fit for the culture? And then who is that person going to work with? Who are they going to work for? And often I can look for certain kinds of traits that help make it going to be the best win-win, so that the person going into the job feels really seen and honored and wanted, and they get to contribute their purpose. And then also that the organization really benefits from having them there, right? It's just so easy to have them fit and contribute. So I often do that. I apply it to romance and do romantic matchmaking too. That's how I use it in business. And then in a group of people working together, so I just hired someone. So my new assistant, she might still be here on the call. She might not be here anymore, but I just hired someone. So wanting to find someone that's a great fit for me and a great fit for the work. But so so organizations are teams. Like, how do they work together, right? So I need to tell her about me and my thrive types and what am I like, and my understanding of her, so we can better understand each other and know where it's really easy to work together, and then also where it can be a little more challenging possibly, or how can we have more spaciousness to really honor the ways that we're different. So in an organization, who is everybody? How can they get along even better? How can they understand when they get triggered and have new spaciousness around that, new tools? How can they realize who to go to when they're stuck in a particular way? Oh, go seek out that person. That's what they're naturally great at, right? Or in a project, like what types of talents, what contributions are missing on that project? So who else might we bring in? All kinds of ways of applying that. Someone asked me today, I was down at a new bank in town, and what was one of my favorite clients, and it's someone that's actually on the back of my book. He originally came to work with me years ago, where he was offered a promotion at work, and he didn't know, could I do that? Like, do they really want me, or I have to mold myself to be different than I am? Because he thought that's what's expected. We've all been taught certain expectations in culture, how to show up. And he happens to bring a lot of heart, huge heart. He has the talent that's called server, that's about love and intimacy and connection. And I helped him see how that's really what they valued about him. He brought that to the organization in a way that a lot of other people didn't, and he didn't have to change. He really could be him. Right? So how to lead as himself with awareness of who he is and how he's different and how the others are different from him. And he's gotten promoted twice. I've helped him make all kinds of decisions about who to hire, what types of people to look for, when they've had some challenges with people, how to make things work better, when it was time to give up. And really, it's better for the other person if they go find something that's a better fit too. And I got to work with his family. Like, I love that I do leadership, life, and love coaching. So I get to mix and play like with all these areas, just like all these other practitioners here. We really love the dance. And just because I personally have worked in such large organizations and really tiny, I run my own business and I'm very tiny, and then other firms I've been in that are tiny. in entrepreneurial firms and the whole growth path. So I just lots of different experiences to bring, so that which type of firm is going to be a good fit for someone. Also, with all the hiring work I do, I see tons of resumes, so I know what modern resumes look like. I can get a better sense of how someone can express the greatness that they are on their resume, even if it's not the specific job that they've had. Chances are they've brought who they are to everything all the time, and there are ways of talking about what you've done that shows your best on a resume, as well as just modernizing format. Oh goodness, so many things I could say, but let me see if there's any other big point I want to touch on. No, I think that kind of gives you a really good sense. Yeah, so I do intuitive work, and I do coaching, and I do consulting. And so I talked a little about some of the consulting-ish work. And I guess the coaching really, this is where my body psychology work comes into play a lot. So like understanding your eyes and having a sense of who you are, like, are you really honoring you? And there's a way we can use that conceptually of how to honor you and how to express more of who you are. And chances are if you get stuck, this is where the body psychology comes in. Chances are it's showing up in your body in some way. And there are ways of shifting and moving your body, playing with some different postures that might loosen things up and allow you to get more connected with yourself, get more in flow, get more expressive. Sort out and separate the past that's not working instead of holding on to it, and all kinds of ways of playing. Those are some of the tools that I bring to my work. All right. Let's see if anyone else wants to share, and we'll settle down here in just a few moments, and we'll go to Shelby's first question. And I'll look and see if anyone else has turned in a question. And if you have, just let us know in the chat, and you'll be able to speak and share your question if you want. If you don't want to share in that way, you can always just write it in the chat. And we even, on the last panel, had someone share anonymously. So you can do that too. You can message just me, and I can ask your question without you having to share who you are at all. All right, because remember, just keep in mind, this is recorded, and so this is going to be published. So if you have, maybe I'll just say too for everyone, when you're going to ask a question, you may ask about this, and we might start talking much deeper than you intended for us to go, or start talking about a different area of your life, your work, your relationships that somehow seem relevant to us for the question. And we want to honor you. If you don't want us to go that deep, you don't want us talking about that area, please let us know, right? Wave your hands wildly, jump in and, speak loudly and let us know, or write in the chat to please stop. And then also for everyone, every question that everyone asks, all of our answers, see how you might learn from that experience. And then also, we believe that everyone's intuitive. And so when someone asks a question, you might have some answers come through you. And we request that you allow the attention to stay up here on the panel tonight. And so if something comes through for you, you might want to write it down. Sometimes the answers float away, right? If it comes through, the insight floats away. Hold on to that. And then if you want to, when we're all done answering that person's question, maybe private message them and ask if they want to hear what came through for you. It's possible they'll be full and they won't want it right now. So please don't be offended by that. Just know that they're honoring themselves the best they know how. All right, we've got someone else to let in. So any other practitioners, I know I just jumped in with some of the logistics. I'll post again about how people can pay if they want to ask a question. And then any other practitioners want to share anything more about your work and business, or examples of the kinds of questions you answer for people, or any of that, feel free. I know I talked a bunch, so. And just a reminder too for all of you that we have the forum here to give us feedback on our event tonight too, and you'll get entered into a drawing. All right. Yeah, any of the practitioners, is there anything else you want to share? Or we'll just go to the question. Okay, great. All right, Shelby, you're up. Do you want to unmute and?
Hello.
Hi, great.
Hi. So I always find you ladies when I'm going through a specific moment in my life. And I just signed the lease to a storefront to expand my business, to expand my little small business that I was doing from my house. And I don't know if I have a specific question in mind. I feel really good about this, but maybe what I can do to even just help better my business through my intuitive self, or you know what I mean?
Great. Do you want to say anything about what your business is, or do you want to leave that out? It's totally up to you.
Could I say it after?
Sure, that's great. That's fine.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yeah. By the way, you remind me, one of the clients I'm working with right now, in terms of like what's more commonly acceptable way of talking about this, he calls it his Scooby sense. So he uses his Scooby sense to make decisions. I love that.
That's great. That's great.
All right, great. Well, practitioners will all have an opportunity to jump in. Anyone that feels called to jump in first with Shelby, go ahead.
I'll jump in. Hi, Shelby.
Hi.
Thank you for asking your question. The first thing that I got was the number one law of manifestation. And that is, you only tell people directly involved in helping you attain your goals what they are. You don't tell anybody else. And another thing would be meditation, because if you meditate every morning, which you probably do already, you will really find yourself tuning in. But do you do anything with channeled writing at all?
I do not.
I would suggest that you keep a pen and paper next to your bed and get up about 15 minutes earlier and ask just what you need to know, or ask a specific question and see what comes out. There's a really good book on that called, and I'll put it in the chat, Writing in the Divine by Michelle Weissman.
Okay.
But I think you're on the right track, so congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Shelby, this is Mary, and while you were asking your question, I felt my heart burst wide open. This is such a heart-centered thing for you. This is your passion. And I don't know what your business is, if this is literal or if it's metaphorical, but I get like cooking, like baking, and I get sewing. And I don't know if it's like you're tailoring to people's needs with your cooking. I don't know what the connection is.
Yeah.
But that's what I feel like I get. And I feel like people are going to come into your store because they're attracted by your heart. So be as warm and welcoming as you are, and as excited about what you do. Protect your heart from those who would ever tell you anything negative about it. Because sometimes when we're so open, we get a whole bunch of stuff that walks in that we don't want.
Oh, yes.
So I want you to, but it's your heart-centeredness that's really going to attract people, and they won't even know why. They're just going to go, oh, I just like the feeling in here.
I've definitely felt that recently, that a lot of people are attracted to me, and I do try to put out my most positive self always. So thank you. Yeah, I will definitely keep doing that.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Great. Who else wants to jump in?
I'll jump in if that's okay.
Sure.
Oh, sorry.
No, doesn't matter.
So hi there. I also have nice vibes around your question, and the subconscious card, which I feel like is a major tool for you, is the Magician card, and it's that card of, again, manifestation, law of attraction, and manifestation again. So kind of trusting the mystical tools that you have to go beyond the pure logical. And I pulled your cards, and it seems like you had left behind something that brought out a lot of sort of a mental shift that was hard. And this business was a freedom from that in a way. And you had to leave that behind. And so because of that, I feel like you have some residual turmoil going on that you could clear away. The funny thing is you got 3 queens. 3. 2 reversed and 1 upright, which I feel is really keen. There's 78 cards in the deck. There's only 4 queens in the deck. So you got a lot of feminine energy going on. The 2 reversed ones are the over logic, overthinking card, control card, and the spontaneous, passionate, fly by the seat of your pants card, scattered energy card. So the antithesis to both of them comes in your upright queen card, which is your Queen of Pentacles. So you have got to ground, go slow, and make practical decisions. Not from a place of I'd like you to ask yourself sometime after this, what's my difference between logic and practicality? They're sim but different. And you need to act from a place of practicality, of seeing a few steps ahead and of slowing down and making micro movements instead of big sudden changes. So if something's not working, just stay present with it and keep going on it and make micro adjustments to it rather than big swath adjustments. And she's also someone who is looking in her character. She's kind of looking over at the Two of Swords reversed, which is when you get trapped in decision making.
Mhm.
And so again, she makes decisions from her gut, but also from a very holistic, earthy place, you know,
Yes.
trusting tried and true things, following other people's styles, you know, learning what's worked and doing that. So if you get stuck in that decision circle, you have to go into a place of really trusting yourself with the magician card and going into a groundedness in your body. Finally, the last part is about, you know, you're going to be doing this differently than your dad would have approved of or that the patriarchy would approve of. You're very much on a feminine kick here. Trust your feminine business sense, and also make sure that you're getting enough time grounding at home, because you got another earth woman here. And you are someone who makes the best decisions when you do have groundedness at home and a sense of solidity and empowerment and sanctuary in your home. So I saw that cute kid back there. Make sure she's getting her time as you start this business.
Right. Yes, girl. Jen, you were on point. Like point. 100%.
Thank you. Good luck.
Girl.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. I really, you hit the nail on the head. So pretty. I thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's great. All right. Phoenix or who?
Okay, so Shelby, first of all, congratulations on a new
Thank
business.
you.
That's such an exciting time.
So exciting.
And something it is, and something that I think will really tie in everybody's suggestions and their senses and what's going on with you, that you can do on your own is to really sit down and meditate with the spirit of your business, because every business has a spirit, and that spirit knows exactly what needs to happen. It knows
Right.
design, it knows structure, it knows product packaging, it knows when you need help, it knows when you don't need any help, it knows when you need to just sit down and meditate somewhere. I mean, this spirit of your business is going to help you. So I think on a daily basis, initially, to sit down with that spirit of the business and just say, okay, what do I need to do for today? And then you also ask about the long term. What about my 3-month plan? What about my 6-month plan? What about my 9-month plan? And then that way, you know, you're operating from your big picture, and you're also operating on a daily basis, which will keep you grounded. It will help you to make your decisions. It'll help you to be focused. It'll help you to not be so open that you're taking on other people's energies. You know, all those things that everybody else said. I really think that's going to be your tool that's going to help you the most.
Thank you. I definitely need to meditate more. And I never would have thought about, you know, like meditating with, you know, for the business. Like, I never. So thank you. That is very helpful. And I definitely will do that. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, great. I think I'm next. Let's see. So we'll take some notes just based on your eyes. So the shirt that you're wearing for me is a beautiful example of what you're about and what you value. So this of the 7 talents I'm playing with it, the 3 of yours are either it's somewhere in the zone of sage, priest, priestess, artisan, maybe server. I'm trying to figure out the sage is about community, playfulness, and fun. So having a whole group and the rolling around and the whole group together. And so things have to be fun, and you need to have team. So it might be other people that work with you, or just the whole team experience you have with whoever, you know, comes into your business. So priest, priestess, and server are about feelings and emotions. So server's about love, honor of each person right now, but I'm wondering that you might have the priest, priestess and second. And when it's second, it looks a lot more like server. Priest, priestess sees not only what's here, they see what's possible. They want to inspire and motivate people to stretch and reach for what's possible. When it's second, while they want this for others, they also turn a lot of it inwards and they go, oh, I need to grow. I need to be better. I need to do more.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you could be sage first and priest, priestess second. And so those are both extroverted. So big, like lots of people. But so kind of in more of your gut and your body, you feel the rhythm and the flow of people. That's the sage. And then emotionally, right, you sense alignment. Like how are someone in alignment? What's in alignment for them? What's not? Right? And I'll speak more about the business in a moment too.
Okay.
And then artisan is about freedom, creativity, pleasure, and energy. So beauty, elegance, just the space, the energy of the space, all that matters so much. So like the colors, the vibrant colors in your shirt, like there's a playfulness of all the vibrant colors and also just the vibrant colors themselves and the energy. And there's even, you could say like a dance of the elements, right, that's in your shirt. And I'm just going to make this up again. So let's say you really loved who you bought it from or where you bought it or where it was made or like any of those things. That would be a way that like priest, priestess could be aligned in it too. Just saying like, so there could be different pieces, right, and things like that.
Okay.
But so you got sounds like you got a new location, right? So expanding, I assume it's expanding. And so the physical environment really is going to matter for you a lot. So the colors, like the mix of the energy of the way people can flow in the space, just all the elements in the space. I mean, so even just the way things are decorated or the things that are out, like it's all little characters and elements in the flow. Does that make some sense?
Yes.
Yeah. And
Thank
I would say, but yeah, so doing what's so aligned for you, doing what matters so much for you is so important. And the big set of lessons with having priest, priestess second is you might have a tendency at times, if you get stressed, to second guess yourself and doubt yourself and think you need to do more and over own your part and not have things be like fair in the middle, but you tend to have things be more fair for the other person and then you're taking on too much. And so really seeing how you can honor you just seems like is a big lesson. And
Yep, I definitely do that.
and priest, priestess, they love to be around people when they're doing something deep and real and meaningful that they believe in. Like sage enjoys people all the time, but priest, priestess only when it's deep, real, and meaningful. And artisan is actually introverted. So you have this mixture of like some extroverted that's really there, but a bunch of introverted too. So like how you can honor both of those things.
That is extremely me.
Yeah, so color and natural light and the dance of play. Also important.
Thank you. That is I'm very extroverted and introverted when I need to be, or yeah, definitely. I love people, but I can also be okay being by myself.
Right, you're done, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
the more that you honor yourself in every little interaction, like so that the space is so honoring and that as soon as you get done, you say you're done, then it won't be as big like I'm really done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lorelai.
You're welcome. Does any of the other practitioners want to share any more before we learn any more details of the business?
I don't mind sharing.
Okay, great. Yeah. So what do you do?
I have one more little thing.
Oh.
I hope it makes sense to you because doesn't make sense to me. But what I was told to have you do is have different parts of your business geared to different types of people. Does that make sense? Okay,
yes,
good.
Very much so.
Great.
Yes.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, no, that definitely 100% makes sense. Okay, so I actually am getting a storefront for a crystal shop and metaphysical items in Springfield. Yeah.
I knew it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Say more
so
things.
you all were so good, and thank you so much. And yeah.
So Springfield, is it Oregon? Springfield, where is Springfield? Is it in Oregon?
Oregon.
Near
yes.
Salem? Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
There are definitely a lot of people in the community there too, and there aren't as many opportunities, aren't many places for them to shop. So I think that it's a great market, growing market.
Exactly. And to write down, I wanted to touch back on writing things down. I literally just got a notebook the other day and have been writing things down because my memory is just like the worst. And so I do have a name for the store. The name is the Stone Grotto. Okay. So
Can
it's
you,
going to kind of like a cave, you know, like a really serene kind of feeling. And
do you have a
yeah.
website yet up or anything?
What was that?
Do you have a website yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I do have like a Facebook group where I go live and do all my stuff right now, but not yet.
I say a couple things. So one of the talents that I did not say you had is called Scholar. Scholar is the talent that remembers well and tracks details. So you don't have that one. So what it means is that you want to have someone that works for you that tracks all that stuff for you, so you don't have to put energy into it because it's not your natural strength.
Yes, that's 100% true. And my I'm going in it with another girl. We're more sharing the space, but we're doing kind of apothecary items too and self-healing. And she is very good with that stuff. We complement each other's like weaknesses and strengths. So
Great. I have one little thing about the name of the store. Is it, I just notice I feel scared inside, right? Because I'm like, oh, how far down the path have you gone? Is anything changeable? Is anything? So just I feel scared. So I know for me, in looking to find different businesses, it's often the names sometimes make it harder or easier to find, to know what the place is, to know that it's the place I want to find. So I
yes,
almost wonder about doing something like the Crystal Grotto or something like that will help people, some word that's easier for them to know what it is. And
that's a
I
good
see a
idea.
lot of nodding happening.
Yeah. Okay.
What was the name again?
That's the Stone Grotto.
I'm wondering that people might think that it's tile work or like concrete
Yeah.
work or something like that, as opposed to that
Okay.
it's crystals and metaphysical.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that. I'm definitely into taking in everything that I can.
And also a couple of us are publishing books, it sounds like, and it would be great if you'd be willing to share your email privately with me. I would love to reach out to you in the fall when I'm writing a tarot book about how to read the cards, and I'd
Oh,
love to be able to get it in your store.
yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I'll definitely share my email for sure.
Thanks. And there's a
Thank
way in the chat that you can choose just one person if you don't want to share it publicly.
Oh, I don't mind at
Yeah,
all.
and you're on your phone too. Yeah, if there's any trouble, we can help you with that. And in theory, if everything goes according to plan, I will be in Salem on, what's the date? October 17th and 18th. So if your store wants to have, I don't know when you're opening, if your store wants to have a booth there too, where we could do some collaboration with marketing and all that. So yeah, I
That
have,
would be wonderful.
yeah, big fairs in Salem as well as, yeah, a bunch of other cities. So
Wonderful. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Great.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate your time.
Sweet. Thank you so much for your question. Lovely question. Perfect audience for this too. This is great, right? Sweet. All right. Oh, yep. And someone was asking about the name. It's perfect. It's great that you shared it. Sweet. All right. Well, so you got a sampling of what kinds of answers we give you. Does anyone else have a question that you want us to answer? Check and see if anyone else has signed up. I don't think I missed anything in the chat. It's just $15 for us to answer a question. And you heard you get great value with all of us sharing. All right. And if no one has a question for a little bit, I'm just going to take a look. If no one has a question, we could just choose a different topic about business and each share a little about that or something like that. You know, Mary made reference a little bit earlier too to the transition of before we were in this, well, we're now all in this field, and like, what was it like when we weren't clearly in this field, and what is that transition like? Because that's really shifting a lot of it, shifting our business over to this direction, right? So shifting our personal lives. And for a lot of people in business, there's some way that they're not working as authentically as they could, and they go through, you know, some point, like they need to make a decision and make a change, and it can bring up a lot of emotions for people. So we all had our journey, and yeah, might be just some common themes, some things to chat about. Taking a look.
I'd be happy to share a little bit more about my own journey, which is I really understood and became aware of my intuition after I had the nervous breakdown, after I had the 5 stomach ulcers, after I just quit my job completely. And it was not at a time when we could afford for me to quit my job at all. And I just did it. And I gave up everything. I gave up food because my stomach was killing me. I gave up friends. I gave up everything. And sitting in that rare silence, the silence that was so rare for me, is when everything just came flooding in. And as one of my spirit guides said, finally, you're not getting up, just listen. And there was so much happening that it was like trying to sip from a fire hose. And but all the warning signs were there for me. The fact that I got so sick, the fact that I got so far down into the abyss, is because I ignored all the signs, I ignored all the messages. And one of the things that became clear to me eventually is I was living into the wrong definition of success. I was living in the muggle world. I had had one job promotion after another. I had gone, straight up the ladder. I had begun to acquire things, the bigger house, whatever, and it wasn't working. And I had to let go. So once I did that, I became very serious about getting healthy again, which I realized has to happen on every level, because you're not sick on one level. The body is like, it's sometimes where we get our first warning systems, our first indication, but it's only after Spirit's been trying to tap us on the shoulder and we're not listening, and then they clobber you and say, okay, and listen now. So I want to encourage people, if things don't feel right, don't brush it off. The more they put on my plate, the more I said I can handle it. And now I know every time I hear that thought even go through my head, stop. And it's really interesting because I was in the wrong job for that place, but a lot of those things that weren't right in other positions as well. So I just want to encourage people to say, you don't need a rock bottom moment to trust your intuition. You need to be really clear about something isn't working for me, and it's nobody else's job but mine to figure this out. And that can sound kind of blamey, which I resisted for a while. It's like, no, I'm the victim here. And I'm not. I'm not the victim at all. But even in the muggle world, things got better when I stopped trying to fit in and showed up completely as I am. And some people went, that's strange. Most people said, tell me more. Most people said, ooh, me too. Most people said, can I talk to you about this? Now, my response was to go for a lot of training. It's like, okay, what is this psychic stuff? What is this intuition? And I spent 2 years in an intensive course. I spent another 2 years intensely with the hypnotherapy things. I then realized, oh my God, I'm a medium. What does that mean? I'm a channel. What does that mean? I see symbols everywhere, and boy, I'll tell you, once you study the tarot, if you're going to read Jenna's book, once you study the tarot, you get, oh my God, it's everywhere. It's in every movie, it's in every ad campaign, it's everywhere. So I just want to encourage people that your journey can be as tough as mine was 15 years ago, or you can just start loving and trusting yourself now. So I throw that out there.
That's great. Thank you, Mary.
Well, so to piggyback on that, I have a similar story, but it didn't quite get as extreme, it sounds like. But so 20 years ago when I was, well, more than 20 years ago when I was teaching in the public schools, I'm a teacher archetype, so I will always be teaching, and I found that it doesn't matter what I teach as long as I'm teaching. So, but at that time, I didn't know that. All I knew was that I was getting really miserable and I was getting sick and my relationships were suffering. And I felt like I was working all the time and nothing was satisfying me. Nothing was feeling good. It just was feeling miserable and more miserable. So the only thing that I knew to do was to pick up a book on meditation and to start meditating and ask, okay, what do we need to do to fix this problem? Well, the first thing I heard, because I'm very auditory, was you need to quit your job. Well, that was not the solution I wanted to hear. So I decided I needed to quit meditating for 3 months. And during that time, I got sicker and more miserable, and everything was falling apart. And not to the point of a nervous breakdown, but it could have gone that way. And so finally, I just thought, no, this is ridiculous. Go back and ask again. So I went back and I said, okay, let's talk about quitting my job. And honestly, I have never, ever looked back. It was, I mean, I got exactly what I needed to have in terms of my guidance, in terms of the steps I needed to feel safe and secure, in terms of, don't worry, it's all going to be taken care of, feeling that divine love, that divine support that comes in when you're in that state. And that's what makes it, helps you to make it through, because that's exactly what I experienced. And I've never, ever looked back. When I have gotten myself into a situation where I didn't know what to do and I asked, sometimes I'm hearing really hard things like quit your job or quit your relationship or move across country and recreate yourself. And that's just kind of my story, right? But I've never looked back from any one of those things. They were always for my highest and best. And I think that's something to take into mind too, that your intuition is coming from a place of wanting your highest and best. And when you go into it with that expectation, that's what you're going to receive. And that's hard to ignore. That's hard to say no to, because it will just keep coming back until you say yes. That's the way it works. And so I hope that helps.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Yeah. I have a really, of course, related story too, right? So many of us. I think maybe some of the first big shifts I got were to stop doing intellectual property work and to start exploring working with people. I've been playing around with going back to grad school and just started finding all these great modalities instead. So studied with a number of teachers, and I wanted to do it more and more. So remember I had a couple of months where I was thinking, when am I going to reduce my hours at work? Like, I got to find a way to let myself do more of this. And I was avoiding that decision. So of course, the economy in 2008, 2009. And so then I didn't make the decision. So my employer made the decision. So they cut me down to 1 day a week, which was, I'm grateful that it was still to 1 day a week. So then I really bumped myself out in the world of sharing my own coaching practice. That's what I was doing at the time. But that was the first big step. But again, like I was feeling it. I had the thoughts come up and the questions come up, and I was scared, and I didn't have the tools then. Had how to unstick myself and then shift myself and to shift myself. And I think for all of us too, sometimes it's harder to use our own tools for ourselves, and sometimes it's great for us to work with each other and get the insight from each other. And then I was practicing as a coach for a while, and then worked in my colleague's leadership coaching firm. And that wasn't quite a fit either. I loved how I got to do this and I got to support her in her work. But at some point she was wanting me to sell her work, really, which isn't my work. And I'm not her, and I can't sell her work in her way. Like, I love to dress like this, and just not quite the right fit for me. So I eventually needed to make a shift there. And so we found a way to part ways. It was really good. We still collaborate and work together. She's the co-author of my book. And I would just honor our differences. And we used all these tools in working together with each other too. And then as part of honoring myself and being more and more true to me, I let go of the names that weren't a good fit, and these new names arrived. I chose one and the other arrived for me. Then of course, they're incredibly unique names. So as I was landed in Portland and I finally started connecting to the intuitive community and opening to oh, I guess I do this too, I started putting my new name on everything, and then poof, all my business clients could find me, and they're like, psychic this and psychic that. And I was like, and I panicked and I hid, and I chose a pseudonym for myself for a year. I was just not ready for that. I'm still owning the word psychic for me. I play with all these other words, and I play with the idea of intuition. The meaning of intuition is just whatever science doesn't yet explain. doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We just don't have the science for explaining what it is. Oh, goodness. And so it took me a good year before, of using the pseudonym, before I was like, start to creep in and use my real name in places. And I really worried a lot about that I would lose some clients. And eventually some of the clients floated off anyway. And I've just built up more and more trust. And I still face some nervousness about this sometimes. Will there be an abundance of clients that are really okay with all of who I am? And I keep getting more and more comfortable with that. And then I have this great client right now that in our first interaction talks about his Scooby sense. And I'm like, all right, I'm here. And there's another client I had recently too. It was so fun. He knew a bit about what I'd done, what I do. We worked together a couple of years ago, and he just brought me in again recently. But then when I was sitting in on an interview that he did with someone that I was recommending that he hire, the person happened to mention that they did an intuitive training recently. And she'd looked me up and, sort of was like saying, I get it, I understand. Like I'm one of the community. And after the interview, that client said, what's intuition? What's intuitive training? So all this, and he knew what I did, but he didn't know what that word meant and all that. Was sort of funny. So lots of people in business too can step in, and they don't, like with anything in life, they choose to not see the parts that they're a little uncomfortable with. So all kinds of ways that people can step in, so me too, like I just let myself step in with like opening to my own intuition. And I had an event space. So, I let the community meet in my home. I had no idea I was stepping into running all these events, right? Running big fairs everywhere. So like we step in as much as we're able to step in at a time. So being gentle with ourselves, and then at the same time, like the more and more that we can, really letting ourselves play and settle into trusting, like that being ourselves is of service, not only to us, that it is to others. And that's how the people that really want who we are can find us. We can find them. Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me share my story. Yeah. Anyone else want to share any pieces of the journey? What this looked like for you? Yeah, it's cool. Right. Yeah, and if anyone has a question that you want to ask a panel, we are here available for you. It doesn't have to be a question about business. Clearly, we can talk about anything. So it can be any sort of question where you'd like to get our feedback for $15.
I'll share a little bit.
Yeah.
For years and years, I didn't do anything at all related to metaphysics. In fact, or psychic stuff, whatever you want to call it. I really didn't even know anything about it. And then when I was 25, I was working in a health food store on Collins Avenue as a waitress called the Health Hut. And there's a spiritual organization called Spiritual Fellowship Frontier. And they were having a convention. And one of the girls who worked there, who had a mother who was a medium, invited me to go. And I was listening to all these talks and I had no idea what any of it meant. And one of the men started talking about auras, and I was totally lost. And then he said, people only use 10% of their minds, the rest is spiritual. And that was the key that opened up the door for me. And I started taking classes, and I started studying. I started going to school a lot, and I worked part-time, and the jobs would keep ending. They would it just was not working out, like the universe was saying, this isn't what you want to do. And then finally, I don't remember where I heard it, but somebody said, you keep talking about doing these things and you don't. And that's because you're scared. And unless you change, you're not going to be doing it. So the next day I went in and quit the job that I had. And my friend said, you need to start a group. And I said, what type of group? And he said, a group where you bring in different people who are involved in this. And I said, well, where am I going to meet them? And he goes, meet up, like, you idiot. And we're still friends, though. And I said, okay, so where do I get her? And he said, just ask. So I started an introduction to metaphysics meetup. And we meet twice a month and have people come in and talk on anything. And it's got about 2,600 people in it. And what I'm also doing now is a lot of counseling and helping other people do it. But honestly, I think Oprah said it best. Oprah said when you're supposed to do something and you're not doing it, first it's a tap on the shoulder, and then it's a brick, and then it's the door, and then it's the whole darn building. So that kind of sums up my journey in a nutshell. And that's it.
Yeah, that's great. So many teachers trying to help us see the same thing. I know Gay Hendricks talks about the feather tickle message or the sledgehammer. Oh, I love Oprah's version too. It's great. Well, if anyone here has just a general kind of conceptual question, not a personal question, so it wouldn't be a reading, but if you have a general topic that you'd like us to talk about, feel free to suggest that. We can explore that too while we're waiting to see if anyone else has a question for us. To just open if anyone would like to do that. And, you know, for the 5 of us too, if we have any questions we want to ask each other, we can always do that as well. Yeah.
I actually do have a question that I'd love to hear from other people about that I think would relate to everybody listening. And that's that how do you work with self-doubt? Because especially in this field of intuition, one thing that I'm kind of struggling with sometimes is just the ego of, you know, telling someone at a party, oh, what do you do? And you're like, I'm a tarot reader. And they're like, you know, like, oh, okay. And they, you know, and you just have to let it go. And just the starting a business, everybody who starts a business, you try and keep that momentum going. You know, I'm dropping content every week. And it's just hard to be like putting yourself out there constantly as an entrepreneur. And there is always that voice of self-doubt. So what do you do, or what are your theories on that?
I'll jump in. That's your ego. And you know what the job of the ego is? It's to protect you. And so when you're doing something that it doesn't think you should do, you become friends with it. And so you say to it, I hear you. And it goes, oh, she hears me now, and give it a job. Give it a job. Another thing which is really, and I struggle with it too, you know, I mean, for years when I was doing my other jobs, nobody knew that I was doing this. And I'd go across the street and give my supervisors readings, but really nobody knew I was doing it. And I think it's all the way you say it. If I'm at a party and someone goes, what do you do? I'm probably not going to say I'm an intuitive counselor who, but I might say is I counsel and I help people. And it's not that you're lying about it, but what might happen is they might say, tell me more. But it's just trusting it and knowing you've got a gift, which you do. I mean, you know, I'd like to learn more about tarot and realizing you're here to do it. And once you look at it that way and realize I'm here to do it, your little voice gets out of the way. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Jenna, I would just love to share, because I think every human being runs into this when you start living into your genius zone. So we get really comfortable in I think that's a Gay Hendricks thing too, right? The zone of excellence. We're good. Everybody knows the rules and we're at the top of our game. When we get into our zone of genius, we go, oh, we're a little bit weird. Nobody knows what the hell we're doing. One of the things that I have found, I love that, yes, our ego is to keep us safe, and they do it by keeping us small. The best thing, the best investment I've ever made in any of my business stuff is a coach. I got a business coach, and it's therapy. And the other thing is, 2 other things: find an accountability partner and find a mastermind group. And I could not find a mastermind group that I liked, so I invited 4 other people I wanted their brain on my stuff. And it's just been fabulous. But I have a business coach that just keeps saying, ooh, ego really is scared. What are you doing? And, you know, and I'll say I'm stuck, and they'll say, no, you're scared, you know, and, you know, let's find out what the next tolerable step is. So, and the other thing that I'll just share with you is when I started doing this, I was hiding it too. And Spirit gave me a very forceful message that said, tell everyone you meet what you do. when I tell my consulting clients who are executives that I'm also a psychic and a hypnotherapist, they hire me. Some say, ooh, but a lot of them go, ooh, this is what I need. And when I am even doing the fairs, I'll say, well, I'm also a consultant with nonprofits. And I'll get people who say, oh, I'm a board member and we're having some issues. So, but the thing is to own it. If somebody's uncomfortable with it, that's something about them, not you. And I would say that to anybody. If you're truly being yourself and it makes others uncomfortable, that's not your business and it's not your job to make them comfortable. It's, you don't want to be mean. Just be who you are and be it exactly as it shows up for you. And then allow yourself those trusting relationships. And you'll know if you're in with the right people or not. And if you're not, get the next one. But they can help you find that balance with ego and the next level up. I hope that's helpful.
So to capitalize on what everybody else has said, because I totally agree with everything you're saying, 4 years ago, I went to my first, or I guess it was 5 years ago, I went to my first marketing workshop. There were 2,000 people there, all speaking marketing language. And that was not my area of expertise, but I was hoping to learn something. And that was at the time that I was really doing more angel healing than I was everything else that I do, all the other hats. And so in a marketing workshop where everybody was pretty straight and narrow, they'd say, what do you do? Well, I do angel healing. And they go, oh. It was just like they couldn't get away fast enough, right? So since then, I've learned a couple things. One is Mary's absolutely right. It's not your problem if they're not your right audience. Yeah, it's okay if they're not your right audience. They're not going to be working with you anymore. But what you do want is you want a tagline that's so enticing that people, even if they're not your audience, they still go, how do you do that? Or what does that mean? Right? So now what I've been saying is I teach people how to connect with their angels and guides so that they can live a richer, more productive, happier life. And that's what makes people go, what? How do you do that? What's an example of what they do differently? So when they follow it up with a question, even if they're not your audience, you've got them. So think, you're not just a tarot reader. You're changing people's lives through this self-understanding that you're helping them to embody and embrace. Now people are going to say, well, how do you do that? Right?
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Can I ask you a question also? Do you have a website?
Oh yeah, I've got a lot going on.
I would suggest if you to expand what you do a little bit in how the tarot can help you in other aspects of your life. Not that you don't do it more, but you'll reach a wider range of people. Maybe a page devoted to that in addition to this.
Yeah, I teach and I read and and I'm gonna add a coaching page in, and I also ordain weddings.
That's great.
Yeah, well, thank you all. That was really helpful to hear. I appreciate it.
I want to share a tiny little bit too, if you can take a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so kind of going in the same direction that everyone else was going. So part of it was, well, let's see. So who are you with? Who are you sharing with? Where are you putting yourself? What groups of people are you going to? So there can be, I say, not your audience at all, and not people like you, not people that want you to be you, people that aren't comfortable being themselves, and then people that are so like you and so into this that they might not be looking as much for you to be for them to be your clients. So it's like finding what is the sweet spot of people to play with, So not trying to get these people to see you that clearly don't see you, and not wanting to be so safe that you're not stretching. So playing with who you're hanging out with, who you're connecting with. And, right now that we're connecting with people differently, like that's a whole new thing too. And then when you're at this event, whatever it is, and you're sharing with someone, they say, what do you do? And you're sharing, what is your purpose in that moment? Why are you answering? What do you want with that person? So being aware of what you want, there might be a way that you intuitively answer based on what you want from them, based on what you sense about them. Again, not to get caught so much in your projections and stories, but that's all the journey of like, what's intuition and what are we making up? And just play with how you share. Someone is like to have more fun with how you share. Because chances are if you're, and I think you may have seen me share about some of my fear melters or my fear antidotes before. I'm going to show you one of them right now. So if you're imagining the future and like what it's going to be like, so it might even be just in the moment when you're going to a party and someone's going to ask, or you see the person walking over and they're going to ask. If you start to worry about what will happen, often for people, we freeze up, we tighten, or so just imagining the future, we tighten. And so not at a party, but like crouching into a sumo position. So even just thinking about like your business and how's it all going and what you're going to do. So being more in this position and walking forward in this position, right, can lead you to come up with different solutions because you're not scared. And then the freezing up, like wiggling from the outside in. So fingers and toes, hands and feet, arms and legs, right, shoulders, pelvis, spine, neck, jaw. So playing in not like such a big way, but being loose and playful in that way. And, just playing with that when you're at a gathering. And then, so being in a looser space so that you can play in how you answer and be you and play with different types of answers and different ways of having entries for people. I love what Phoenix was sharing about the name and the tagline. The tagline is a way, right, to play in that way and give people different doorways, openings in. And then you were sharing about all of the content that you're making. So I would look to see, are there ways of making content that's more fun, more joyful for you, right? More easy, right? How can you have more ease doing this? I know for me, often doing things with someone else is fun. So I love the idea too, what Mary said of like, creating a mastermind group for you. So like create people to market with, how you can actually play and have fun with people, doing that together. And the cards that you use in particular and the beauty of your cards, it almost seems like there's something of the richness and the juiciness and the beauty that's part of the essence of who you are, not just empathic. And I just wonder about these other elements of you and how they can get across in the way you talk about what you do. Yeah.
Well, thanks to all of you. I hope that helped other people listening in too, because I think these were all really universal answers in a great way. So thank you.
Well, and Jenna, just one more thing, if you don't mind, and this is just personally for you, but are you making your own tarot deck?
I'm writing a tarot book. I have no interest in making a tarot deck. It's I'm not a visual artist like that. I'm a writer. I'm very much a verbalist.
Yeah, it might be a unique deck then.
Yeah, no, I love other people's decks, and I like doing what I'm good at.
I wonder too. I wonder too if like the person that made the deck that you use, it is a beautiful deck. I wonder if there's some way that you might I don't know what it is, but there's a way that you could get a license for making artwork that is your words with the cards.
Well, what I'd like to do is probably for my book, I'm going to reach out to this deck creator and just say, you're my favorite deck I've had for a long time. And, what may I use it for my book so that it would be a part of the book.
But I'm almost imagining like there could be framed pieces that have the card and then your writings that are somehow artistically arranged. You have an artistic sense, so there's some way that
I do more photography stuff, but I don't like photography cards. I mean, I'm okay with them. They're okay.
But you get what I'm saying, that almost like your writing, not just the writing itself, but also the display of the writing. It just seems like there might be something of,
Yeah, I have a graphic designer for my book who's really talented in those ways. And so again, it's that team of like knowing, like you were saying to Shelby, you know what you're good at. And if you're not a scholar, bring in a scholar. And I feel like her name's Rua Klein, and I think she's going to be an amazing team member when I'm ready to give her the book. So much work.
Cool.
Yeah. But let's thank you for listening, for answering my question. That was really fun, and I've never done that on one of these panels, so it was really neat. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. That's great. Cool. Well, I know Melissa asked a general question too. If we, so what is the best way to market yourself to people who are not well versed in the metaphysical world but still want your help?
What can I ask you, Melissa? What are you in particular marketing?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm a Reiki master, so that's my main modality. And then I do a couple other things on the side that are metaphysical, but that's the main thing that I get clients with.
So practicing Reiki with them or teaching?
Doing a session on them,
Okay.
doing a session, yeah.
I have just been through this for the past 2 weeks, really getting my hands around it. And, you know, because I said I have a solution people don't know they need. So calling out their pain point, saying, you know, are you feeling lethargic? Do you wish you had more energy? Does that stubborn pain keep coming back? You know, that sort of thing. Calling their attention to it and saying, I can help. First, they want to know you know what they're talking about, and then they'll ask you about your solution, or they'll listen what your solution is. So getting really clear about their pain point and how things will be better is the first couple layers, and then you can go into how. I hope that's helpful.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like I'm good at explaining things, so I try to break it down to them what it is in like layman terms. And then after I do a session on them, I'll say, hey, you know, your root chakra was really out of alignment. This is what you can do. You know, listen to these type of meditations, eat these type of foods, use these type of essential oils. So you're getting, I'm not just saying, oh, you know, I did a session on you and now you're better. We're going to keep going with it, but you need to do the work. But I can guide you and tell you what that work is. I can give suggestions, but you have to do the work.
I thought the question was about attracting people.
No, it is about attracting people. But it's kind of like, that's kind of an example that I wanted to share with you of like how I'll explain something, and I'll tell them that even before a session too. I'll be like,
but first you have to get their attention. So
that's what I was trying to see. Is it marketing or sales? Like which question? Because
I think it's both, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
You have to get their attention, and you have to keep it focused on them, because it's what we tend to do, right? We want to dive right into the how, and they're still into the why.
Good point.
So,
okay.
You know, why would I work with you? Why will my life be better if I do? I got a lot of choices here. And so if you speak to the outcomes, saying you'll have more energy, you'll take away things you can do on your own that will keep this energetic feeling high, whatever it is, I'm making it up, will really help them say, tell me more. And, you know, and you can start with, I'm a Reiki master. And then they can say, what does that mean? And how does that help me? You know, and let them keep leaning in is really helpful, because then you can say, well, I'm multifaceted and this is a team effort kind of thing. So I can help get you going, and I can help you understand what it takes to keep this great feeling once you're done or whatever. But start with them and where they are before you get into how brilliant you are. Because I think we all do that. You know, it's so obvious to us sometimes what the answer is, that we haven't grappled yet with what's their question.
No, good point. That's what I need to work on, because I get too deep into it, and I have to think like they don't even know what it is, you know, like to your point, start with the why.
Yeah, and what's their pain point? How are they going to feel? And then slowly get into the how.
Got it.
Can I add a little something briefly? And it's very similar to what Mary was saying. Focus more on the results and then start talking about how you're going to get there. You know, like, I'm getting terrible. And by doing that, oh, tell me more. And they'll be on the line where they really want to know, which is very much what Mary said too. Focus on the pain points. And while you're at it, you might want to open up your chakras and start, you know, and then they'll already be on the same path you are. So the same, like, yeah.
So I'm getting the message kind of, especially instead of saying the word Reiki, saying that you're an energy healer.
Yeah, I've done that.
Specify
Yeah.
how your particular unique energy is its own vibration. Like describe, I would recommend that you sit and write a paragraph about how to describe your particular flavor, you know, of Reiki, of that energy field. Because I know there's a simplicity to it, but you have your own something going on that it makes you unique and stand out. Because I think a lot of people, when they hear Reiki Master, who've heard it before, go, "Oh yeah, Reiki Master." What? And it kind of like, they breeze over it. But if they hear a couple unique words, they get intrigued, and they're like, "Oh, you're kind of like what Phoenix was saying about the tagline." Same message for you of like, you know, come up with a way to say it which really helped me. Thanks, Phoenix. That was a great point. So I like that idea of saying energy healer. And then also, if people are kind of like, all right, that's unusual to me, access what's familiar to them. So saying like, you know, some people's touch, how everyone has a different flavor of touch, and you don't need to be like massaged to get a sense of touch and companionship. And so kind of connecting with them on that way of like, my flavor of touch is this, and it's something that you are familiar with already, you know, and people have the healing power in their hands, and you have it too, and helping them understand that yes, you're a master at something that we all have access to. Yeah, and I pulled some cards for you, and it looks like also you've done this a long time, and you have kind of a like, you know what's up with this. You have the 9 of Wands, so you're just very much like, you know this field almost too well. So reminding yourself what it was like in the beginning, and then connecting to people on a really heart level, you know, of kind of their, like she was saying, their pain points, but also connecting to them on just their humanity, can really help you, and helping them see how Reiki can help them on multiple levels of overcoming their vices and come into their higher self.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I struggle with, because it's like you want to talk about all the cool stuff, like you want to get so in depth with it, but you can't in the beginning. And I'm like, oh, I have to talk about the basics, but it's just getting over a hump, and then we can get more in depth if they want to, if they're interested.
Great. A couple things that I thought of to share, and I love all the feedback everyone's giving. It's great. I'm learning tons from all the things everyone's sharing too. So you asked about people that don't know anything about metaphysical. So in addition to saying things like energy healing or energy healer, I like to come up with examples or analogies for people. So have an analogy of something that's more like tangible for them in the world that they might understand. I mean, I know just the simplest things, right, of this, and like feeling their hands and things like that. Or just some examples, something that people can connect with, right? So I often talk about the sense of like someone staring at you, you know, and some people are better at that than others, but like just the sense of like, yeah, there are things that I experience that just are so real for me. Science does not know how to explain it. So it's just like, oh yeah, there's more stuff than science knows. So coming up with whatever those examples are and analogies for you to be able to talk about your work with people that don't know how to get in and don't know the terminology.
Yeah, no, definitely. Because I feel like there's a whole untapped market. Because to Mary's point, it's people, they need it, they don't even know they need it because they don't know it exists. And it's like getting them, but all I need is really curiosity. If someone's curious and open-minded, then I can usually at least explain my point.
I just thought of another thing too, and that's that go learn about the statistics of, like, for instance, Reiki is used in certain hospitals.
Yeah.
So if you're able to name the hospitals that use it, and it sounds like, you know, Kaiser Permanente or something, like it has a familiar name, then they're like, oh, this has been validated. This has been validated by something from my side of the world. And then also that analogy thing I really liked. And I met this guy once who was very not mystical. And he was fascinated by this one moment in his life where he just had a spiritual moment. And he was driving on his motorcycle and went to this hill, and he tried to replicate it by trying to do all the same things the same way, rode the same motorcycle, wore the same clothes, drove to the same place, and he didn't get it. And he was like, so like, it was such a sweet moment of, but saying to them, those moments where you just feel so connected and so at peace in your body, I can offer you that through my practice. So helping them tap into a memory of something that really is like, oh, I'd love to feel that. I'd love to recreate that. And you have access to it.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. Thank you guys so much. That was very helpful. I'll definitely take note of that.
No, you're welcome. Thanks. I know you attend our events often. Thanks so much for supporting us too.
Of course.
All right. I noticed Mona raised her hand. Mona, did you want to ask something or share something? We might be able to hear you now. Can you speak? Ooh, you're unmuted, but I can't hear you yet. Yeah, Mona, we can't hear you. Mona, I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. If you want, you can call me. Sometimes just leaving the room and coming back in will help the sound turn on. But so I just put my number here too. Oh, you're going to figure out the microphone. Yeah. Because the other thing you can do, I was going to say, is you can call and I can put you on speakerphone on my phone. Okay, please continue. Sure, we'll do that. Yeah, if anyone else has. Yeah, it's great. I know it's just been a little quieter. We started a little early this evening and it's summer. It's warm today, so people might be outside. And yeah. Yeah, so it's only $15 to ask a question of the panel. If you have just a general question like Melissa asked, that's great. And Mona, you can always type your question in the chat too. We won't be able to interact with you in the same way, and if you paid to ask a question, we want to get the deepest experience with you possible. So we want to be able to hear you. We can figure that out. Oh, I hear someone in the background maybe, but. Yeah, you haven't paid. Did you want to pay? Mona, did you want to pay to have us answer a question? Because I can call you and we can figure this out. Yeah, you're trying to figure out how to do that. That's okay, cool. I'm going to put the link in that's just for the PayPal and see if that, you might be able to click it and that'll just be really simple. So here's the link where you pay. It's just $15. We need to be able to hear you to ask your question too. But there's the link in the chat.
Looks like she's having trouble with the microphone.
I know. That's why I'm like, if you put your phone number, you can send it just to me in the chat. I'm not quite sure if you're on a phone, how you change it, but if you do that, I can call you. And that way we can get you through my phone into the call where people can hear you and you can hear us. Okay, you don't think you can, but that's great. You don't have to do PayPal. Okay, well, you can do it another way too. So if you want, you give me your contact info. We can figure it out afterwards too. I can put it through on Square or Venmo. What's that? Who was that? Wonder if Mona got sound. Oh, you don't want to hold everything up. I'm sorry, by the way, if we can figure it out today, that's great. And then we're going to have another business panel on Sunday. I think is it from 1 to 3:30, and Phoenix is going to be back and Mary's going to be back, and I'll be there, and we'll have a few other practitioners. So you won't have Kendara and Jenna, but so you have another opportunity. The theme of that's going to be spirituality, intuition, and business again too. Yeah. Well, does anyone else have a general question? Yeah, wait, and you'll get more prepared. It's okay. And if you can't pay on PayPal, that's fine. We can totally figure out another way. Just reach out to me, and lots of options. Yeah. And you still have access to the discounted sessions from everyone from being here today too. And if you fill out that feedback form, you'll get entered for the drawing. So here, I'll put the link to that in here again too. Thanks so much, Mona, for coming and wanting to play. It's great. Yeah, so there's a link. So everyone share feedback with us. You'll get entered for the drawing. Any other general questions anyone wants us to discuss? Yeah, and y'all too, we can say too, just if it stays quiet, we don't, we can always end to it at 7 instead of 7:30. I'm open. Yeah. Someone has an airplane. Nicole, is that you? Did you have a question? Maybe just unmuted. Yeah. Well, anything just for panel members, does anything come up too about just business? Anything that you want to share? We're going to be on just for the next like few minutes or so. You can also just go around and just share again, just your name and what you do and just how people can connect with you online. We can always do that too. Just before we finish up. Oh, Mary's coming back in. Mary disappeared. It looked like something happened. Okay, great.
Hi there, I'll just share then, just so we can get started. My name is Jonathan Roberts. I'm with Present Path Tarot, and I do empathic intuitive tarot readings that help guide you through your current often insecurities and anxieties about maybe business or life, and into a place of confidence, empowerment, and certainty, and a sense of your own strength that you're capable of lending yourself toward your greater good. So I love giving readings. I feel like my readings are lighthearted in a sense, but very grounded in spirit, and are willing to go into deep places. I'm very honest and forthright about things. I don't beat around the bush too much, but I'm also very compassionate and loving in my readings. And I think humor is an important part of life, so that's usually included in there as kind of a joyous teasing of how to access the best of us in life with a joyous heart. So yeah, I'm giving a special this month of 20% off through Mercury retrograde's end on July 12th. And you can use the code on the list there. It's Retro 2020, all capital. And I do Zoom readings right now, and I also in Portland meet in person, but only from a distance and with masks. But I'm willing to do that if you're in Portland, and in a park. So it's outdoors. And yeah, and you know, I just want to also mention, because we've been talking about business, but let's all just to connect also that there's a lot happening with change in the world. There's a lot of intense shifts happening, and we're in those upper numbers in the major arcana of death card, of transformation, of temperance, of integration. And you know, it's important that you tap into your own mythical path in these times. And so don't feel like you're alone if you're out there just feeling lost and sad this week. Know that that's probably healthy to access the heavier, darker emotions, because that means you're a part of the transformations going on and into a flow with the rest of us collectively. And that's a gift that you have. So just reminding you that if you're feeling alone, to please reach out to somebody to help you rise up into your more access your whole self through a reading.
Great, thank you so much, Jenna. I just put your information in the chat again too. All right, who else wants to share? We're just going through and doing a summary again of who we are and what we offer. Share your contact info, and who of the practitioners wants to jump in?
I will. So I'm Phoenix Rising Star, and you can find me at phoenixrisingstar.com, which is pretty simple. I'm an intuitive business coach, and I work primarily with consultants, coaches, and healers, helping them to create heart-based businesses in alignment with their heart and their soul's purpose. These are businesses that they love, that you love, and that sustains you, and it also helps you to have a bigger impact on the world. I do this primarily through Zoom meetings, a mentorship program that's 6 months, and there are longer options as well. So thank you. Oh, and so my gift is 90 minutes with me to just kind of hammer out what's going on in your business and what would be the best success strategies for you for where you are right now.
Great, and maybe just say your website again too.
Sure, phoenixrisingstar.com.
It's great. Thank you so much. All right. Who else wants to share?
I'm Kendara Laurel, and one of the things I really love to do is help people find self-defeating habits, often starting in childhood, and shifting them into positive behavior that allows you to manifest. I do a lot of classes and a lot of on and on, one-on-one with people, helping them find what their gifts are and how to utilize them. And I do tarot and I Ching readings and intuitive. And basically, I guess what I'd like to say is help people manifest what they want. And I'm really happy to be here. And kendaralaurel.com, very original website. And I'm happy to be here, so thank you. It's nice meeting everybody, too.
Great. All right. By the way, we have another question that's going to come in. So Mary, why don't you go ahead and share too? We'll all share so we're complete, and then I'm connecting with Leanna.
Okay. So again, Mary Gleason, and my website is marygleason.life. And I am offering a deep discount tonight on my executive intuition coaching program for $297. It's normally $1257. And I also am offering a 20% off reading, 1-hour reading. So I hope that you will call me. If you are interested, but you're not quite sure what to do, if you go to my website, you will see that to schedule an appointment, you can sign up for a 30-minute discovery call that's no charge, and we can decide if what I'm offering is what's right for you. So I'm happy to talk with you more, just to see if we're a good fit.
Great. Thank you, Mary. All right. And then I'm Lorelei Shamayo. I'm an intuitive eye reader, body psychology coach, and I apply my modalities in all sorts of areas of leadership, life, and love. So in the theme of today of business, I'm able to help you get a great sense of your genius, right? Your gifts, your natural gifts and talents, and help you see how you're already sharing them and how you can share them in ways that empower all that you do. So you live your purpose, you feel more joy and aliveness, and you're more successful, more productive in the world, and more of service to others. You can look at the work that you do now and how you can share more authentically there, how you might tune what you do, what other work might be more in alignment. If you're wanting to start your own business, how to do that in a way that you use your gifts and you learn when to ask others for support, when to hire other people or partner with others. Other people that you work with and play with now, how to better understand them, have a more synergistic relationship. All kinds of different questions I can answer. If you need to hire someone, how to hire someone that has the talents that you really need. Lorelei Shamayo. I'm at loreleiShamayo.com. That's LaurelishImayo. And with the intuitive eye readings, the archetypes that I read in people's eyes are called Thrive Types. There's tons on the web at thrivetypes.com. And this event is part of MeWe Fairs. That's MEWEFAIRS.com. Lots of events that we offer. And let's see, I'm still connecting with Lena. So Lena, if you can hear me, I'm just trying to see how I can support you to connect on Venmo. If you tell me your name, I can probably send you a request. Or I think I told you it's at Lorelei Shamayo. You should be able to find me. So just $15, and we're going to have another question. Oops, it may have just come through. All right, great. Yeah, Lena, if I'm pronouncing your name right, Lena has paid. Can you unmute? Did you want to ask us the question? Oh, great.
Hello. Sorry. So my question, it's kind of a lot, but I'm just figuring out my career. I'm currently have like a full-time job. I'm a healthcare business analyst. Kind of also have an entrepreneur spirit. Also kind of helping my brother with starting his business. So I feel like I'm kind of lost. I don't really like my job. I've been trying to interview, get other jobs, trying to kind of dabble in the entrepreneur online business. And I just feel like I'm pulling in all sorts of directions. And I think last time when I asked the panel, they said something about automatic writing, but I haven't had any time to look into what, automatic writing really means. People have told me, my purpose is kind of like being a teacher or of some sort. And I'm just kind of confused. Like, I just feel really lost of what I'm supposed to be doing. I just go through the motion of just getting a job, just to be financially secure. But I just feel like there's something else out there for me, but I really don't know what that is. So any kind of tips or guidance on?
Yeah, I'd like to jump in here a little bit if that's okay. The first thing that I noticed when you were speaking was supposed to be doing. And if you like doing it, it's okay. I think a lot of us people, a lot of we metaphysicians, at least from the beginning, are so afraid of if I do this, I'm not going to be able to make any money. So I would say I get very strongly that you've got some really good healing ability gifts. And I would just start taking some classes, looking for a job, but taking some classes, because as you start taking the classes, and they can even be online, you'll connect with the people and do it because you love it. Maybe join a meetup. They have meetups for everything. And when you do that, you'll be able to connect with people. In terms of automatic writing, do you meditate?
No.
Okay, well, the first thing to do is meditate. I'll send you my email if you like, and I can give you some handouts on meditating. Then there's a really good book by a woman named Michelle Weissman called Writing in the Divine. But basically what she's talking, and it's about automatic writing. What she's talking about is just getting into a meditative state mode. Because once you do that, Lena, you're opening up and you're connecting. And so I'd say the main thing is to change the gotta get a job, gotta make the money. Because if you do that, which you do, you're going to hold yourself back for fear that you're not going to do it otherwise. So do what you love. And you're saying to the universe, I'm willing to do it. And it'll fall into place for you. I promise. And I'll put those things on chat for you. So I hope that helped a little bit.
Yeah, and I hear meditate a lot, but I feel like I have a hard time just calming my mind or
wait, okay. So when you meditate, briefly, what do you do?
I don't. Yes, I can't even.
Okay, so do me a favor, if you don't mind. Just close your eyes for a second and put your tongue on the top of your mouth where the teeth and the soft palate meet, because that'll stimulate your pineal gland, which increases your intuition. And imagine roots growing out of your feet all the way to the center of the earth. Now just breathe in through your nose for a count of 5 and hold it for a count of 5. And as you breathe out through your mouth, silently say the word breathing. Just silently say it. And then breathe in again and hold it. And then breathing. And one more time, just breathe in and hold it and breathing. And if you could do that 15 minutes a day, that would absolutely quiet your mind. And that's meditation. And the nice thing is you can do it anywhere. You can be in your office and you're on the phone with someone and say, oh my God, I can't stand this. And just do that. So that's all you have to do. It's just quieting your mind. And you're in a body, so you're not going to be able to be quiet all the time. So I hope that helps you a little bit.
Okay. Yes, it does. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thanks for asking. I'll send you that stuff in chat.
Okay. Thanks.
Great. Who else wants to jump in? Looks like Jenna. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm also seeing a disconnect from the divine, and that's with a period especially that you kind of recently, maybe in the past 4 months, went through a personal big change, but in that change you remained attached to the sort of temporal field, the earthbound needs, and you still have the opportunity, because that resonance is still running through you, to access your higher self through, I totally agree, meditation is the easiest way of just quieting yourself and listening to your feeling body and your emotional body, to get into accessing what it is. You just, the quiet messages will come through if you do that. I also have a question for you. Your brother that you're helping, he looks like a very kind of passionate, fiery sort. How's that going? Has helping him helping you?
Um, you- I feel like I need to help him. I feel like if I help him and he becomes successful, he's a big dreamer.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot of stuff. And he feels like he's kind of in a way paying me back by doing this, but I know it's a lot of work, that I don't have time. So I'm trying to set my boundaries with that. But I just feel like if I help him, he'll help me and we'll just be successful all together.
Yeah.
That's just how I am.
I do love that, but he does seem kind of like, so he has two fire characters representing him, and this Knight of Wands. I mean, he's very kind of, he's a little bit on the spontaneous decider, sort of fly by the seat of his pants. And I would personally want a contract with him, even though he's your brother, or some sort of verbal email agreement. I just feel like he's a good person, but who's sporadic, kind of haphazard, and full of good energy, but can take from other people because he's passionate and it engages others to be passionate, but then they end up doing his work. And I really think there should be some more boundaries set with him, because you're doing that. Here's what we do as artists. So you are the Queen of Cups, you're an artist, and there's an artistry in you that you're avoiding. And it doesn't have to be money making at first, but it does need to be accessed. There's a great book called The War of Art. The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. Super fast read. You can burn through it in a day. I mean, it's really fast, but it's poignant, and it's a great book to have by your bedside, just to read one page here and there with bibliomancy of just opening to any page. Because what he talks about is basically, we as artists do everything we can to avoid doing our art. I'm guilty of it. We're all guilty of it. And so don't judge yourself for it. Love yourself and say, oh my God, there's a part of me that is not tapping into my higher self, because I'm letting myself become attached to my brother's project instead of my own project. And that is so important. And so you have to make a commitment to yourself to start doing creative things you're drawn to, and make time for that. And whatever your brother needs has to be second to that need. And from there, you'll find what it is you want to do. And it does look like after you go through that artistic period, I'm thinking about 5 months would be a good time period that you give yourself dedicated to doing creative things. And you have to start on day one. Okay, I'm doing a creative thing today. This is the start of it. And you have to set a goal for yourself of how often you're doing those things to earn the 5 months, if you do it a month and then quit for 4, you didn't do 5 months. And you will be walking away. Then you'll know what to do. You'll be walking away from the things that don't satisfy your heart anymore. And you'll be probably doing something that doesn't impress your family and is going to be outside the range of shoulds. So begin getting comfortable of doing something a little outside the box, even if it's just a hobby at first. Feed your artistic side.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I felt like I've just lost all creativity, like just even dreaming or thinking of what will make me happy, that just isn't even.
We act like art is secondary to life, that it's not something that makes money, so it's not valuable, but that is crazy. I mean, what would life be worth living if we didn't tap into our heart and into our creative energy? And it's at the same time easy to choose other people over our creative self. So think of your creative self as a person who you need to take care of like a child, and that you are going to honor, and you have to prioritize them.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Sorry, I have a little one running around.
Lena, if I could ask you a question. You said you feel like you've lost part of your creative self. And like, is that recent loss or has that been for some time?
Years now. I think over 20
How
some,
many?
probably 20 some years now.
Okay, okay. So, yeah, well, that's when we have stress, or repetitive stress is also known as trauma. So when we have that in our life, no matter how you interpret those words, what happens is our divine pipeline or our divine connection kind of gets knocked off course, kind of like one of those old TV antennas that was made out of wire, and it would just kind of, during a storm, it would blow over and somebody would have to climb on the roof and get it straightened out again so that that pipeline could be received and they could watch TV. So when we don't know that, then it stays out of alignment if we don't know how, if we don't know it's gone and we don't know how to bring it back. The longer it stays, the more fragmented you feel, the farther away you feel from the divine or source energy, the harder it is to meditate, the harder it is to remember who you are and why you're here. And so, because I work with angels, they have really simple ways of just kind of bringing us back to who we are and to restore that natural pipeline. So, one of the things that might help you, because I realize that at this point it's really hard for you to meditate, it's really hard for you to find that connection, it's really hard for you to trust that angels could ever help you at this point. But I think that if you could jump on that 90-minute call with me, I think I can help you with maybe some steps to help reestablish that and to help heal the stress and trauma that caused it to begin with, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because if we don't heal that, no wonderful advice is going to help you, right? That trauma has to be healed before you can move forward.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm sorry, my internet kicked me out. I tried to get back on the phone. It thought I was driving. It's definitely Mercury retrograde, and I've had it. So Lena, I want to be so gentle with you right now. But you're already aware that you're doing things that aren't in your best interest. You already know that. And that leads to physical health problems. I mean, it leads to ailments because you're never misaligned on just one level. So I'm glad that you're here right now. This is wonderful that you're here right now. And I really want to encourage you to think about your journey is separate from your brother's and anybody else's. There is a huge difference in helping out your brother and not living your life. And I'm going to guess he doesn't even see it because you keep saying yes. And that's what we who are prone to be caregivers do, is what they talk about in Al-Anon a lot. It's a codependency that allows you to not step into yourself. I mean, it starts out preventing you, but the more we say yes to things when we mean no, the harder it is on us. Everybody else is benefiting greatly. So I'm so glad that you're here tonight. And here's the one thing, you'll hear it everywhere, but the truth is, no is a complete sentence. And you don't have to say it meanly. You don't have to say, I'm sorry. You just have to say, no, that doesn't work for me today. That doesn't work for me now. That doesn't work for me. But no is a complete sentence, except talking to yourself, then yes is a really complete sentence and a great way to go. And what I'm sensing is your exhaustion. All this energy is going out to other people, but it's not being returned. And so you want to start with relationships that are more reciprocal. I don't think your brother's a bad person. I just think you keep saying yes, so he just keeps asking for more. And I'm going to guess that if you said no, he'd say, oh, okay, or that sucks, but he would move on. So that's just sort of the sense I get, is that this is really something you're agreeing to that can end anytime you decide otherwise.
Yeah, that makes sense. I know I've been trying to nicely say I'm really, really busy, you know.
But that's an excuse.
Yeah.
That's not the same as saying no. No, I don't want to do that. No, that doesn't work for me. No.
Mhm.
Good luck. Love you. No. So,
Can I add something else? Can I come back? He doesn't need to know what you're doing, because a lot of it is, if I can interject, there's a little bit, I'm just feeling it intuitively, a little bit of you that's afraid to do what you want to do because he's not doing what he wants to do. He does not need to know everything that you're doing. And by doing that, you're not going to feel like you have to explain. I think when Mary said it lovingly, no. And do something that you love to do just for you, even if it's taking a course or something, because you're very, the fear of what other people are going to think, and we all do it. Boy, does that get in the way? It's that little mind. Do it for you, and you know that'll be the nicest thing you can do for him also. So I hope that helps a little bit. We're glad you're here, so thank you for coming. We love you.
Thank you. Thanks.
I also just wanted to offer, because I'm kind of getting a hit that it takes time to learn how to say that firm no across the board. And so what I'd like you to do is sit in meditation or sit in quietude and take a moment at some point just to ask yourself, what is it that I really do want to help him with from me, deep within your belly, in your heart, that you're like, this aspect sounds like fun to me, and I'd feel like I'm giving in a way I want to be giving and not giving more than I can afford, and making room in my life to do something artistic as a hobby at first, even just to feed my soul.
Okay. That makes sense. Thank you.
So I know I want to jump in and share some things, and I want to remind you too that this is being recorded, so you can go back and listen to it again. I'm going to post it on the MeWe Fairs business page is one place it'll be. Yeah, so you can go back and listen. So I love what everyone's saying, and I love the direction it was going of like slowing things down a little or helping you have smaller steps. So one example of a smaller step is like a way of saying a longer sentence than no is, I want to help you and I'm not available right now. Or I want to help you and I'm not available for that right now. So you can convey the desire and the care and the no. So there's examples of like steps. And,
but say it only if you want to help him, and I can't do it right now. If it's not true for you, first and foremost, be true to yourself. I wish I could help you, but no. I think somebody else can help you better. Good luck. I mean, you don't have to be mean, but I don't think he'll take it meanly. I just feel like he'll, oh, all right. He'll go next person. So, and I don't mean to contradict Lorelei, because I get what she's saying is that step. But if you say, I want to help you, he'll come back and come back and come back. And so will everybody else.
I want to address some of this. Is it okay? I want to jump in and I want to address some of this. Sorry,
sure.
I haven't had a chance to share yet, so I want to say some more.
I'll,
It's cool. Thank you. I know we all have so much. We're like, rah, 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 rah. So it's for me, like I love what Phoenix was saying about going into deeper things. Because for me, there's so much of a whole life lesson that's here for you. So in your eyes, I think one of your talents is priest, priestess, and it's your second talent. And so this is the one that tends to take on more of their share for things. They tend to have it more fair for the other person. Like they tend to give and give. They so want to be good in how they are in the world. And so this is a way that I think your creativity is very alive. I'm not saying it's your best creativity, but I think that when it comes to helping other people or seeing ways that you can contribute more, I think you're super creative. You're endlessly seeing ways that you can give. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to encourage you to see your creativity is alive and it is turned on. You've just had it in service of others. And part of what you're learning is that you're worthy of having it be in service of you. Right? So the big step for me is the opening of like, are you willing? Are you willing to discover, for example, how you can care for the others in your world that you want to care for, and that you prioritize caring for you?
That makes sense. Yeah, I feel like I can't do self-care for me. Like I'm always last.
And I want to encourage you to start to say that in past tense, like I've always put myself last, and I'm learning how to not put myself last. I'm learning how to include me, right? And even just I'm learning to include me sooner. I'm willing to discover maybe that if I include me first, that I have more to give to others. Right? To play with your mind and see how you can get your mind and your heart to open.
Okay.
And I get to somehow as a child, taking care of all the other people first was part of how you survived. It's part of a natural tendency and just lessons in being who you are, and just knowing too that it really supported you at some point. Right? So being gentle, not like blaming yourself that you're wrong because this is how it's been.
Can I add one more thing?
Sure. I have more I want to share too. Go ahead.
There's a really wonderful exercise you can do called the blue room. And you create a cobalt blue room in your head. And you invite anybody at all that you've got issues with to come in. And you tell them how you feel. And you let them tell you how they feel. And then you tell them what you need. And you let them tell you what they need. And then you make an agreement and you shake hands and you leave. I really feel, if I can give you a hint I'm getting, a lot of this based on the messages you were given from your father growing up. And so there's this thing of not allowing yourself to be empowered. And it's not a criticism, it's not, I'm not allowing myself. But see what's happening on some level. It's easy to take that energy for yourself and give it to your brother. So if you start just doing those little tiny steps, you will be amazed how clear your head will be. It's a great exercise. It'll really help you.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
You're very welcome. I'm done.
So a little bit more I wanted to share is, like as you said a word earlier in your sharing, at that part of what brought up the being willing question. And so for me, if I'm not ready to commit like a big thing, or I'm not ready to fully choose something, I go back to my willingness and I go looking for what's the little thing that I can open to right now, that I can hold in my energy. And the word that you said that there's a signal for me to look for that is you said the word try. So I don't know if you've ever explored the word try. So the idea of, I'm going to try to touch this. So for me, trying is not touching it. Trying is, it's going towards and pushing back, pushing away. And so whenever you say the word try, it's a way, the signifier for you that your energy is going towards and pulling back. So there's some part of you that's holding back or staying away from something. So Rhea, so this is, you might feel scared if you take care of you first. What will that mean for everyone else? What will that mean for your relationships and your connections? Right, so exploring all sorts of fears that might be in there. So that's why going looking for that little bit of willingness. Right, I'm willing to discover including me. I'm willing to discover that including me might actually be good for others. Things like that. And then some specific things you can do to help open up your creativity more and more. So automatic writing was talked about a little bit. So, but also start whatever. Do you have one hand that you typically do things with more than the other?
Yeah.
So whatever your other hand is, do you often do your right or your left? Which is the typical one
right
for you?
hand.
So then play with your left hand for just get out a piece of paper and scribble. Brush your teeth with your left hand. Sorry, I said do this with your left hand. I don't know what word I said, but yeah, scribble with your left hand, brush your teeth with your left hand, eat with your left hand, play with your child with your left hand. Like get your brain switching things around, and that often will help open up new pathways. So, and I was just thinking about walking meditation too. There are ways that you can do meditation and movement, or once upon a time, before I knew that I didn't need to sleep much at night, and I used to attempt to put myself to sleep before I was tired, one strategy I would use is I had to count. So I had to just count up, and as soon as I thought anything else besides the counting, I had to start back at 0. And oh my gosh, it was like, but I finally could quiet my mind. So 100 down or 0 up. So those are tricks. It doesn't have to be like a regular meditation the way like people meditate. You just come up with whatever works for you. And oh goodness, I have notes all over what I want to say. I know I wanted to mention the idea of a taxi job. So in terms of finances right now, you might choose to get a taxi job. It's a job that gets you from here where you are to where you want to go. So maybe doing work, right, that you really love. And so a taxi job just moves you in that direction. So it's important for a taxi job that you find one that uses your energy as little as possible, your energy and time as little as possible, and pays you enough of what you need. Right? So looking for the simplest, easiest thing for you. So you have more energy and time available for your own creativity, for whatever it is that you really want. And it doesn't have to be creativity and like an artistic thing. It's just your genius expression, whatever that is. And like people have told you, you're a teacher. It seems like you care a lot about other people. You're able to meet people very deeply, and you seem very wise. Like there's a lot that you know. And so in that way, to me, you seem like a teacher. You're able to really meet people and sense what will support them and what will work for them. And that you're very creative in seeing what might support them. And you know a ton. That makes some sense?
Yes, it is. Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you for advice.
Great. Let's see if there's anything else that oh, and if you wanted to, I don't know where I just thought of this, but while you were sharing earlier, if you wanted to, so you've had certain jobs and you've had certain job descriptions, the things that people typically put in a resume. You might think about your recent work and even go back in time, or you could just think about in your life right now. There's your job and the regular job description. And what are all the other things that you give that aren't in your job description? What are all the ways that you do your work that aren't in your job description? And that'll probably help you get a sense of who you are and what you contribute all the time.
Okay.
And so that might help inspire you of like what you might want to do that's not about the content of the work.
Lorelai, may I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Say
Yeah.
one thing, and you said some stuff that really triggered for me, that is good for all of us to remember, is the power of affirmations. And the secret to affirmations is writing them in the present tense. So not someday I'll be rich, because it's always out there, but to say I am rich, I am talented, I have time for me, I put me first. All of those things, whatever is right for you in the moment, and to have them be something that you actively engage with. So for a long time I had my affirmations folded up on a piece of paper in a drawer. And one of them was, I will be bold. Yeah, let's figure that one out. So, I am bold as long as nobody sees it. So putting them on the bathroom mirror, I read it and then I say it to myself. And then I read the next one and I say it to myself, and leaving them up there and then doing it again at night. It's amazing after a short while how much just the right one will pop into your head in the moment where you say, I put me first, and you hear yourself about to say yes. You'll go, oh, wait, there's a reason that popped into my mind. So the power of affirmations that are written as if they're already true is so helpful in helping you in the moment too. Because when you've got a lot of things coming at you, Lena, you're not going to stop to think about all of this because it's habit now. So just ingraining that.
Thank you.
I want to say too, Mary and I have different talents, and Mary's talent has more to do with like whoosh all the way to the potential, and mine has to do with little steps. So this is, you're getting the flavor of Mary and me. So if I put me first is too big, say, oh, I'm equal with everyone. Right? So find a way to take the step towards, oh, I'm equal. Yeah.
Okay.
Great. I know we shared a lot, so that's why I want to mention that it's recorded. So you can go back and listen again and take bits in as you want to. You're able to. Anyone else have any little bit they want to share with Lena? And then we'll go ahead and close up. It's so great, Lena. Thank you so much. It's such a beautiful question. It's just so useful for so many people. All of us to get reminded too. Oh, all right. Well, I'm
Thank
going
you.
to put the link in again for everyone. Oh, and one thing, Mona, I just want to mention too. You mentioned if you found a way to pay and you didn't want to answer and you didn't want to ask your question, I totally can refund you. So just want to make sure. Okay, great. No, you didn't. Okay, great. So let's see. Going to put the link back into. So if you're willing to share feedback with us from today, that's great. And then we'll put you in a drawing for the free 30-minute session with one of us of your choice. So the link's right there in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been lovely being here with you. I'll put all of the practitioner information in the chat one more time in a moment, and I'll make sure it's posted up online where the recording is too. Oh, so we're at mewefairs.com, MEWEFAIRS.com. This is one of our awakening panels. We have a fair on Saturday. I should know what time it is. Here we go. So Saturday the 27th, that's this Saturday. In Pacific time, it's 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And then we're going to have another panel just like this on business with a few of us that are the same and a few of us that are new, answering new questions from you. And that's going to be Sunday the 28th, this Sunday from 1 to 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Oh, thank you so much for being here and holding space for today, and a few of you that asked questions. Practitioners, it's lovely being all together, being able to do this together. It's a great way to support each other and be of service and support each other marketing out in the world, sharing out in the world with others. It's great. All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for being here. Yeah, let me, and the practitioners, if you are willing, if you have a few extra minutes to wait with us, we will, we can have a chance to chat about the event a little too. And I'll put all your contact info in the chat right now. Great. Yeah, and if anyone wants to just pipe in and just say your name again and how to connect with you online again, feel free to do that.
My name is Jenna Lynn Roberts, presentpathtarot.com, and you can connect with me there or on Facebook at Present Path group or page.
Yeah, any other practitioners, go ahead if you want to just jump in. So it's at the end of the recording for anyone that watches later.
Mary Gleason, you can connect with me at marygleason.life, or you can email me at marygleason.life, and I'm happy to talk with you first about what it is you think you might want.
That's good. Kendara Laurel, kendaralaurel@gmail.com or kendaralaurel.com, and I'd love to talk to you. So even if you've just got a question, feel free to email me. You know, I have to get an hour reading. I'm done.
It's great, Phoenix.
Phoenix Rising Star at phoenixrisingstar.com. You could use phoenixrstar@gmail if you like, or there's a contact button on the website. And if you don't have to do 90 minutes, you can just shoot me a really quick question if you need to do that.
It's great, thank you. And I'm Lorelei Shamayo. You can find me at loreleishamayo.com or schedulelorelei.com, and I'll do a short complimentary mini session as well. And information on the archetypes is at thrivetypes.com. And the spellings of those are all over all my websites and everything. You'll find them, mewefairs.com. Thanks so much for being with us.